So if you watch Commander, if you play Commander, if you play any Magic the Gathering of any kind, you've probably seen that Dockside is banned, Mana Crypt's banned, Nadu's banned, and Jeweled Lotus have been banned by the Commander's Rule Committee. Now, I don't want to be just like everyone else. I don't want to go and really talk about it too much. Everyone has their own opinions on these bans. I just want to kind of give a different approach to it. And if they're banned, they're banned. There's not much that you can really do. It's just how do you move forward from this? In my opinion, I think the format's going to slow down a lot, especially when it comes to CEDH. I play Rocco a lot in CEDH. That deck is just gone. It just doesn't exist anymore. The amount of mana you need in that deck in order to get you ahead, I'm so reliant on Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt and Dockside. Dockside's almost always in my combo lines, and it's just gone. But there's nothing you can really do about it, and you just have to move forward. So how do we move forward? For me, I think I'm going to start investing into some slower decks, especially stuff like Sans Red. I play a lot of CEDH, and red is probably by far my favorite color in CEDH. But if we're really looking at it, in red, there's only 2, maybe 3 cards in CEDH that you actually see play. You play Dockside and you play Underworld Breach. Those are really the only reason red was still relevant in CEDH. And honestly, green is kind of useless too. Esper is really, really good nowadays, especially with this ban. And things like Zur the Enchanter are probably going to make a comeback. Since I like tutor decks like this, I might actually try to play something like a Zur. Or I might even try to dabble in something like a Dimir Control, like a Yuriko, or Italian. I think these decks are going to get a lot better as the format slows down, and so those are what I'm going to try out. Now, jumping off into the not-so-CEDH level of gameplay, how can you figure out what to do if you use these cards a lot? In lower power or budget Commander, you don't really see these cards. But in higher power Commanders, you probably do. So what do you do now that you don't have access to these cards? I would say other things that are just more expensive but get you kind of the same result are going to be really good. We'll never get to the power of something like a Mana Crypt, but Soul Ring is still around. You can try things like Thran Dynamo or Worn Power Stone. You can try things like Everflowing Chalice, and you should probably pick up a Mana Vault as soon as possible, just because that's one of the only quick mana that you have nowadays. I also think things like Jeska's Will and Seething Song are going to get a lot more powerful and a lot more play. Overall, these bans are just kind of crazy. They're a huge hit to the format, both CEDH and higher power, and they're really going to shake things up. These bans are going into cards that are extremely expensive, and people are going to lose quite a bit of money because of this, and so it's really just kind of all over the place. It's really unfortunate to see bans like this. It's similar to bans in any other format. When Fury got hit, a lot of people lost a lot of money. When Grief got hit, same thing. Anytime these bans come out, people lose money, and people lose valuable cards. Their card stock is now worth nothing again. Lucky for me, I've only ever really proxied Mana Crypt and Mana Vault, but I do own a Dockside, and I spent $70 on it. It's now probably worth $15 just because you're never going to use it, and it's probably going to go to 0 because nobody uses it in any other format. Overall, I think there's not much use in complaining about this or really even talking about it too much. I think the only thing that's useful to talk about is how we can move forward and how we can find another solution to play. Like I said, I'm going to start investing into some slower decks, maybe more control-y type decks, at least when it comes to CEDH. Outside of that though, really nothing for me changes. Any of my high power brews don't run these cards anyways, and my lower power brews don't even think about these cards. But for you personally, you should try to find a way to work around this and find ways to take this negative into a positive. With that being said, I will see you guys this Saturday.